Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social podcast, and I am so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that's going to energize your business and help you stay social. Because after all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? I know I do. And I'm so stoked to have Mandy with me today. Welcome, Mandy.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Tell me a little bit about your business and what you do and who you serve.
Yeah. So I started my career sort of spanning sports, entertainment, and nonprofit. I worked at the Olympics. I worked for Apple, CBS, UCLA. And in 2015, I launched a social media consulting company that also created content. So we have a photography studio. Nowadays, we do a lot of B2B social media and a little bit of nonprofit social media.
Very cool. So we're sort of in the same space. That's kind of awesome. Yeah. What is your favorite social media platform? What do you think is working the best for B2B right now?
LinkedIn. I know it's the obvious answer, but LinkedIn for the past 2 years has been absolutely explosive. CEO social media is particularly really important. People are a little bit tired of brands, and especially since LinkedIn is a person-to-person networking location, we're seeing a lot of success in incorporating branding messages with leadership. The one that I personally love is Threads. It's sort of a social media manager haven, and it's a really easy place to get noticed by brands and to talk to really big brand social media managers. So I'm having fun over there.
Wow, that's interesting. So, you know, the elephant in the room in 2023 is AI, ChatGPT, and all that. And so how are you using it in your marketing, and how should businesses be using it in their marketing?
I love this question because I love AI. I actually consult with CEOs on how they can use it in their day-to-day. And I've taught a couple of lunch and learns about it. One of the lunch and learns is with one of the Adobe creators of their AI system. And the other one, which I really need to do again, is a look over the shoulder of a marketer while they use AI in their day-to-day, because there's really no way to teach a class that's updated enough. And so I think the best way to learn about this is just to see how someone's using it. So my entire team shares a shared ChatGPT account. Don't tell anyone. It's kind of like Netflix. And the cool thing about this is that you can pre-train ChatGPT in your client. So this is the big hack that the nerds of AI are using, is that you pre-train an AI in what you're about to do. And so I have about a page and a half of teaching ChatGPT all the rules of my client, their brand rules, their emoji rules, what a good post looks like. And then I tell it what to do. I've trained my whole team in this. I've created that documentation for them. And we've also have an ongoing thread with ChatGPT where we're training it up, down, up, down, up, down. And we never publish something that AI writes, but we use it as a co-pilot, right? That's the name of an AI program. It is meant to help you create even better work. And what we're finding is that it's actually just helping us create that option 3. We love to create at least 2 options for clients, but with that brainstorming partner, we're able to create an option 3. A couple of other things that I'll recommend to people is transcripts. It can read entire transcripts and pull quotes. If you need to pull sort of like administrative stuff, like a list from maybe a brand book or the copy from a website or something like that, those really boring administrative tasks that'll take you a long time can be done instantly with ChatGPT and help you move along with your day. And otherwise, don't get overwhelmed. Just take it one step at a time, and don't be afraid of it until you use it.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Mm-hmm. And I've been enjoying it. I've literally taken my content and put it in there, and just so it could get my voice and everything. And it's so funny. There's certain words I use, and now when I put something into the prompt, it actually will use the words that I use, which is hysterical. So
Wow.
I've been training it to do that. And it's interesting because I also use it for clients too, and probably in the same way you do. But I think it's just amazing because every once in a while, I don't know about you, and I'm a writer. I have a book, and I'm actually writing a personal book right now, and it's like I get writer's block, and it's like, it's like the things that I used to use Google for, which I still do, for titles and topics and what's being searched, what topic is being searched on.
Yeah.
Speaking of Google, what do you have any comments about Google? Should people be getting Google reviews and be on Google My Business, which actually isn't Google My Business anymore. I think it's called Google Profiles or something.
Yeah, they're constantly changing the name of their products, which is not good for product management. Don't get me started on how Google constantly launches products that they either rename or shut down. It's incredibly frustrating and incredibly confusing to consumers, but that's besides the point. Google's the #1 search engine in the world. It also will cross-reference its data with YouTube, and so, which is the second largest search engine in the world. And so absolutely, like, you should be anywhere, especially with SEO. People will still be going to Google for a long time. It's only super early adopters that are on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can now use the internet. And so it's still going to be citing Google, but be aware of what your search terms are. If you haven't checked yourself on Answer the Public, that is the associated search terms with who you are and what you do. It is such a fantastic way to impress a new client. And if you have a brand, you should absolutely know what your associated searches are and make sure that you're answering those questions. You can create a 1-year social media calendar just by understanding either the associated questions with your keywords or the associated questions with the name of your brand.
Yeah. The weird thing about Google My Business and everything is, like, sometimes I have some clients that complain, well, I can't find mine. And then they'll go on to Google Maps, and then it turns out that somehow there was another profile set up for them. And it's just, I always say, just hire a Google expert and they know what to do.
Always. Yeah. Especially for
It's
those like quirky things.
And, I'm finding, like, because I like to look at the analytics, the Google Analytics, when I'm, working with a client to see what's coming in through the socials and everything. And what I'm finding now, especially since the G4, I literally cannot, there's a client actually I want to get rid of because I don't have them anymore as a client. And I can't, it won't let me delete that account no matter what I do.
That's frustrating. That's good to know.
Since I updated. So if you figure that one out, let me know.
I will.
So here's an interesting thing is, like, so what I'm seeing on a lot of and I look through a lot of accounts during the day, but I'm saying is, like, there's really nobody engaging anymore, and it's like, sometimes even for myself, I feel like when I'm posting on social media that, I'm preaching to myself or I'm, doing a post for myself. What are some ways that your company uses to get more engagement? What are some, I think that will really help our business owners, because I get that a lot, that question a lot. Is like, nobody's looking at my stuff. There's no engagement. So what are some things that you do to get engagement for your clients?
Absolutely. So I call things outbound engagement and inbound engagement. I really need to create a new word for this because it confuses people, but outbound engagement being how your brand interacts with people, and inbound engagement being how people interact with your brand. What I recommend is social media besties. So each account that you have already has a bestie. You probably know who they are. It's a list of people that absolutely love your account. If you have a bestie in real life, you're going to invest in them because they're investing in you. Social media is a social science. Just think about these people as people. They are people. And so interact with them. If someone's constantly interacting with your content, acknowledge that they're doing that. Hey, like, we always love to see your face. Thanks for being here. Or send them a DM or interact with their Instagram stories. It's such an easy way to send a touch, right? And touches shouldn't only be inbound, they should be outbound. Number two is interact with your industry. Social media is a social science. You can't expect something when you give nothing. Algorithmically, you have to give, because if no one's engaging with you and you're not engaging outbound, then you're teaching the algorithm that you're not useful and you're not entertaining and you're not educating. And so this is an age-old strategy. It's actually something that we spend a lot of money on for our clients. Everybody gets engagement. Everybody gets an engagement strategy. And the other thing that you should keep in mind is what a high quality engagement means. So we started working with an IVF AI client, so in vitro fertilization, artificial intelligence, massive acronym. And this isn't CRISPR babies. It's sending more data to your doctor so that they can make better decisions. It's absolutely fantastic. And with this client, our top KPI is Instagram saves. So Instagram saves is our most important engagement, because women on Instagram, because we're looking for women with high incomes and people that are actively going to use IVF, and that's a really expensive process. And these people are on social media and they are on Instagram. And what they're doing is researching. These are nerds. In order to do all of this science to yourself and incorporate all of this science into your life, you're interacting with highly scientific accounts. You're interacting with creators who have gone through this. And so we want you to keep us in your family of accounts. And the way that people interact with accounts like that is by saving it. We know that people are creating albums and they're referencing their information. And so we want to be one of those sources of engagement. And so that is an exact KPI. We are not looking for impressions. We are looking for Instagram saves, because that tells us very intentionally what that means to us. And then we know if we're that important to them, the other forms of engagement are going to automatically incorporate. Be intentional, be social, and choose a couple besties. So if you, we have a couple clients, where we work with the UN, right? They collaborate with the UN. And so I want the UN account to love us, but I know that the UN has about 50 sub accounts. And I know that they all have social media managers. So what if I get their email? What if I DM them all the time? What if I'm constantly giving and interacting with their content? If I become someone's bestie, they're going to automatically want to give to us. The last thing I'll say is, if you tag people in stories, and if you tag people in content, that's a DM. So if you want to ask someone to share your post someday, make sure that you have a history of interacting with them, react to their stories, tag them in things. They're going to be able to scroll up and see that you've been tagging them, you've been giving for months, for a year. And so when it's finally time for you to ask, you have social currency with that account to receive something from them.
I love that. I was just thinking about, while you were talking, an Instagram, and I did a campaign once for somebody who was looking for influencers. How important is influencer marketing on Instagram, and for someone who wants to get noticed real fast? What do you have to say about the whole influence marketer thing?
Yeah. Influencer marketing has low ROI. Period. It got really bloated. It got really expensive. Influencers deserve to be paid. Internet labor is labor, but people got really attached to that buzzword and ended up overspending for it. What I believe is micro influencers, which is pretty common industry standard, where you work with someone who's growing their account. They need to already be besties with your brand. I have a software client that's education technology. And if this person has never posted about our world famous entertainment technology with 7 billion plays, then I have no interest in working with them, because I'm going to have to educate them and I'm going to get subpar interaction. But I know who our besties are. People have made parodies of our music. People have run bachelorette parties in their classroom and their workplace with this product. So why don't I find the person with 100,000 followers who absolutely loves our product, doesn't need as high of a spend, and is honored by that, because we already have social currency with them because they already love us. That is the way to work with influencers. social media is a social science. You want to be represented by people that love and care about you. And if you have an option for them to interact with you and make them love you even more, that's awesome. It's going to pay off for years, and it's going to pay off in a way that you're never going to know, with brand awareness and relationships that are also going to be one-to-one. People are going to tell their friends about it. If you give them swag, they're going to use it all the time. And so be more strategic with your influencer marketing and just think about them as a person who is talking about your account. Don't overestimate how much someone's audience is interacting with them.
Yeah, I love, you said this several times now through this whole conversation we're having is there's a human on the other side. And I think that's what, businesses forget, that there's a human on the other side. This is the part of the show where I get a little bit real. We're going to get real here now. And so I want to ask you this question. What do you love most about being in business for yourself?
Goodness. I tell people, I just finished a business program with Goldman Sachs that any small business owner should do, called 10,000 Small Businesses, and got to meet someone from 29 other industries. And I learned that business owners are weird. Like, they're all just a little off, and in like the best possible way, which means they're my people. And I realized that I started a business for a completely different reason, which is that I wanted a job I liked. And once I hired people, I wanted a job they liked. And I think that contains a couple things. I think it contains creative freedom. So something where I get to be creative. This is also scientifically backed. Pay that I deserve, freedom that isn't so restricting, and an ability to grow exponentially. I felt really pigeonholed by the slow pace of places like huge corporations and huge entertainment. I had all these ideas and, was kind of told, like, you can try these out in 10 to 15 years. And now I'm so highly challenged. Social media already contains 6 sub-industries. It's analytics and photography and writing and technology. And then you become a business owner, and then it septuples in a year if you're me. And suddenly you're a CFO and a CMO and a COO and a CEO. And so now I'm overstretched and I love it.
Yeah, that's exciting. So, everybody talks about the glamour of being in business for themselves, and all our friends think we're really cool, and they say, oh, that's good for you. But we both know that there's struggles when it comes to owning your own business. And one of the things that I'd like you to share is probably, what is your biggest struggle that you have in today's world when it comes to owning your own business?
I'm mind blown that your friends think you're cool. I think my friends think I'm lame. I think in some other ways, I live in a highly competitive city. And so the definition of success here very much differs, but I don't come from here. And I have found that, like, my freedom, independence, and learning has just been so good for me. The biggest struggle is our exact industry, which is that social media is a marriage. It's not a one-time project where you get a prompt, they like it or they don't, you like them or you don't, and then you finish, which is how photography goes. Social media is, I'm committing to you for 3, 6, 12, 18 months, even 24 if you work with industries that have massive RFPs. And we work with agencies who have 3 and 6 year contracts, which I hope we someday get to do. And that means that, it's going to last longer than many marriages in America. And that means that you're going to have to maintain a relationship. And that is something that in my career, I wasn't necessarily doing. Managers were coming in and out, VPs were coming in and out. And so maintaining this relationship of, having a history of failure. Social media will always have a history of failure. It's a tabloid. It cannot get it right because it pushes so fast. And everyone always wants to push you to move even faster. And that leads to mistakes. So you have to learn how to soften those. You have to learn how to teach someone to be a client, which is a whole challenge within itself. And you also have to learn how to maintain the sanity of your team, which can be challenging because agencies inherently are packed with pressure. And my job, and the way that I see my job and the way that I structure my company, is team first, which means saying no to clients, which is not my strength. And so it's this marriage concept of maintaining these relationships and ending the ones that don't work.
Yeah. I love how you just put that. And we can't serve everyone. And that's a struggle in itself, because there's so many people that, like, they just take on any client, and then you end up being like hating it totally. So totally can relate to that. So one piece of universal advice for someone who's just maybe starting out, somebody who's seasoned, or somebody who's thinking about starting out, what would you have to say to them?
A conversion is a conversion. It's not as complicated as people say. People are inherently optimized to tell people that their job is really hard and really complicated. And social media is hard and really complicated, but it's a social science. Marketing has not changed in 100 years in terms of you are telling a message to someone at the right time, in the right place, in the right way. And yes, the technology changes, but at the end of the day, it's person to person, and a conversion is a conversion. Figure out how conversions happen and then enact it.
I love that. Love that. So if somebody resonated with you today, what would you say to them? How would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I am trying to lift my LinkedIn presence. I am Mandy Medella Hoskinson. I am having a lot of fun on Threads, and everywhere I'm Media Mandy. Everyone says, "How did you get that username?" I've just been around for a really long time. That's the only way. So catch me as Media Mandy anywhere. My company is Zolay Studio, ZOLAY STUDIO. And I would love to hear from someone. I would love to have more conversations with people. It might sound like I'm not open, but I'm totally open.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for being a very good guest on my show today. And
Yay.
Till next week, everyone, I'll see you soon. Have a good week.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram at Biz Gone Social for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.